What's up, guys? So in today's video you learn how to build an FAQ section, which stands for frequently asked questions. So if you have a website where users ask a specific questions frequently, you can just create a section for it. So let's quickly demo it out. As you can see an animated star icon right here. So if you click on this, you get the answers to the questions and you can close it as well. So one cool thing about it is that if this is opened and I try to open this first one closes, and I can as well close it directly from here. And this beautiful design is gotten from Frontendmentor. So this is it right here. You can go to frontendmentor.io.challenges and you can just um, download the raw files and code along with me. Yeah, I'll be using React for this. You can decide to use whatever framework you like. I think the concept is kind of the same for everything. Alright, with that said, let's start coding. Alright guys, so we have some starting codes which I'll quickly run through. First of all, I have a Vite application up and running, so you can install Vite by, let me get rid of this first. So Vite is actually a build tool for creating React applications, and it's really fast. So if you want to follow, I'm gonna just say npm create Vite at latest, yeah. Then you specify the name of the folder. Like mine says FAQ codon main, which I might change later on. Then after this, you should get a prompt of the framework to use and other bunch of straightforward questions. So once you're done with that, you should get a boilerplate, but you won't get some files like this asset with this image files is what I brought from the raw files from Frontendmentor. I also have the more like the frequently asked data that we're going to bring in later on. But all this will be in the description below in the GitHub repo. And I think for the Vite config.js, yeah, I also changed the server, the port to 3000. I think the default port is 4173, but you can leave it as it is, or you can as well change it from here. I think that's about that. And for the CSS, I just brought in the fonts, which is work sans. You can get it from fonts.google.com. I also brought in the colors we'll be using, and as well add a little reset to it's just to make everything faster. All right, cool. So let's start writing the GSX for the app. All right. So before we do that, let's quickly npm run dev to start the development server. All right. So in case if you've already forgotten how the original design looked like, I have a Figma file of it. So essentially we have kind of a hero image right here, and we have a container that is holding these entire frequently asked questions. So first off, we'll give this a class rather of container to hold this entire stuff right here, include the image too. So inside the class of container, we'll create under div with a class of bg image to hold the image, because this image has one for mobile and one for desktop. So as you can see, they gave us two images to use, and we're going to change it directly from the CSS. After that, we'll create another div and give this a class of FAQ container to hold these entire frequently asked questions. And inside it, we'll also create a title, which is this right here. I'll do that by bringing in the image, the star image. I'll quickly bring in by saying import star from, I think, assets, images, I think, what is it called? Icon star.svg, no? Star.svg. Alright, cool. Then we bring it in here by saying this should be star save. Yeah, we're getting that. I also need the other text that say FAQs. Alright, cool. So next we need to bring in this entire data we are seeing right here, as well as these images. They're icons, but they give us as SVGs. So let's quickly do that. So outside this title div, I just comment this out. Say title, and here should be FAQ data. So first of all, bring in the FAQ data. So say import, I think it was called FAQ. Okay, FAQ data. So we say import FAQ data from /FAQ data. So we'll save this and say here should be, open a curly brackets, say FAQ data, and we're going to map over it, and we'll get the item and also get the index. So inside it, we'll create a div with a class of FAQ for each individual FAQ, and inside that we'll create another div and give this class of question. So essentially what I do right now is I'm creating, alright, so we're creating this is each individual section. So right now we're creating this section, then we'll create the actual answers. So this is the question and this is the answer. So inside the question, we'll also use an h2 and just bring in the question, say item to question. I should also give this a key of the index so that React will know which index we are currently in and won't conflict the classes. So essentially, if this is not here and I save, I think I should get an error right now. Yeah, so it says each child in the list should have a unique key to differentiate it when it updates or when it changes. So that's where we need to can use the index for this, but it's literally not advisable if you're building a real world application to use index. It's better use an ID, but index is fine for stuff like this. Alright, cool. So inside this same question div, we'll also bring in two images. The first one will be for this minus and plus. So I think, let me say, call this one icon minus from assets that images. I think it's icon minus svg. Yeah, and we'll copy this down by saying Shift Alt and down for Windows. I don't know about Mac. So this should be plus. I don't know if it's icons. Okay. Plus minus. Okay. Plus, and this should be icon or icons. So I change this to plus. So bring that in by saying here should be icon minus. Copy this down, and here should be icon plus. So save. Consider each one is having this right here. Alright, so now what we need to do is outside this question div, we need to bring in the answer. So we'll put this in a p tag and give this a class of content, and this should actually just be the answer to each of the questions you're seeing right here. Yeah, so that is about that for the GXS. So let's start styling it. So if I go to the index.css, like I said, we already have some starting files like the image, and we reset everything to default. So first off, let's just give this image a max width of 100%, because this is what I actually do to take, so the image will take the full width of the browser, the max width of the browser. And after that, let's target the body class and bring in the font family. So said work sans. If it's not available, the fallback font should be sans serif. Okay, that's coming through. The background color should be this light pink, and we should display its grid because we want to center it. We want to center this stuff right now in the middle, and say place item should be center, and the height should be 100 VH. Alright, cool. So let's see something. Yeah, it's centered right now, so you can see there's even spaces on the top and the bottom. So what we need to do right now is to target the container class. I just add the padding inline. I think this is it of 1 rem. So padding inline is simply is for the left and right. So instead of saying padding then 0 and 1 rem, padding line will just fix the left and right. For the top and bottom is padding block. So these are CSS logical properties. Now we have to think. Let's bring in the image right here. So can do that by saying, I think give this class of bg image. So say bg image and give this a position of absolute. Left should be 0, top should be 0, then the background color, I just give it a dark opacity default. Then this should be background, not background color, because we want to bring in an image. So URL should be the assets images, then mobile, because we're starting from mobile. You're not going to see that now until we give it a height and a width. So let's set the height to like 300 pixels and the width should be 100%. So you're going to see it right now, but is above the text. So the text is like back of it, so we need to send it back so that we can see the text. And we can do that by adding z dex of -1. So right now we can see the text. So let's just give this class of white. Let me see. Instead, okay. So we have to change, or rather, okay. Let's just keep on going. We'll make some adjustments to this, or we'll just push it down. So for the background properties, we'll add a background repeats of no repeats. The background position should be center. Background size should be cover. So yeah, this is essentially what we want. Now we need to target this FAQ container. All right, let's see how it is. Okay, it's not far from what we want though. Okay, so for the FAQ container, which is this entire stuff right here, so we'll say the background color should be white. Yeah, the max width should be 600 pixels. So it's the maximum width it should go, or it should stop at, is 600 pixels. So once this width gets to 600 pixels, it should just stop. And we also want to center it on the screen. So say margin inline also. So center the left and right axis. So we need to add some padding around. And while we're at there, let's just give this as index of like 10, so that I should be on top of this image at all times. And add a padding. Let's say it should be 2D of 2 rem for the top and 1.5 for left and right. All right, cool. So add the border radius of 1 rem. Yeah, it's coming through like we want. Our let's also add, I think there's a box shadow right here. On also kind of different. So we'll say box shadow should be 0, 4 pixels, then 8 pixels for, I think this for the y-axis, then the blur. No, this is for the blur. The 8 pixels is for the blur. I think this is for the y-axis and this is for the x-axis. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not used to all this stuff. So I think this is for the x-axis, this is for the y-axis, this is for the blur, and the RGBA should be 173 40 235 10.5. So have this kind of purple blue around it. So I guess if you're wondering how I came up with this, it's just by trying different, playing with the numbers. Yeah, that's just basically it. So we're going to push this later on or very soon, but let's just style most of this stuff inside here. So for the title, we'll say FAQ.title TLE and give this a display flex. Try to come to the side. Also a line item center. Let's add a gap of 0.5 rem, and let's add the margin bottom of 2 rem. All right, cool. Now we need to start this H1. I think that's the only H1, so we can just say FAQ title and H1 and just give this a font size of 2.5 rem. Okay, yeah, so we need to add like a space for each of the FAQ. So if for each of the question we should add a margin bottom to it apart from this last one. So we can do that by using a pseudo selector and say FAQ. So this FAQ itself, and say we target not the last child, and give this margin bottom of 1 rem. Let's also add a border bottom to kind of separate it. So say 1 pixel solid, and add this light pink to it. Yeah, so it's showing right here. If I put another color, you see it in effect. Yeah, so but we need the pink. Okay, yeah, cool. So another thing we have to do right now is essentially to style these questions themselves, which is this and this right here. So we need to bring these images right here. So we can do that by saying FAQ and getting the question and still adding a display flex to it. And align item should be center. The justify content should be space between. Yeah. And let's also add the margin bottom of 1 rem to give this some space. Alright, cool. So for the H2, let's also add some stars right there. So FAQ question, and grab the H2 and say font size should be 1.2 rem. Font weight should be 700. The color should be the dark purple. Yeah. Then we should also add the transition later on. We're going to use, so let's just say 0.2 seconds is in, and also give this a cursor pointer. Yeah. And while we're there, as you can see, for this hover state, we have this purple color. So when we hover over it and say FAQ question, target the H2 and say on hover, we just add this color. You could not see it from the files, from this color file, so quickly came up with something similar. It says AD28EB. So if we save, so with this transition, we're having this nice hover state right here. Alright, so for the content themselves, we want to initially hide it so that the user won't be able to see the question. And don't worry about this spacing that you see for some and you don't see for others. So essentially, we'll be showing only one for each particular state. So don't worry about this space you're seeing right here. So for the content itself, we'll say FAQ, then content, and give this a max height of 0 to get rid of. Okay, it's not going to actually get rid of it because it's just taking the max height, but the content is still there. So all we also need to do again is to let's just style it before adding the max height. So I think that would be a bit better. Or let me just do this instead. Give this a color of grayish purple. Yeah. Then say visibility should be hidden, so it's gone right now, and overflow should also be hidden so that we won't get any overflow when we try to open it later. And what we want to do is that for the demo, I don't know if you observed, when we open each question, the specific content that's inside is scaled in. So we'll add a transform of scale of 0 initially, and we're going to add a scale of 1 when the content is opened. And we should also add a transition as well of 0.4 seconds. And let's add a cubic Bezier of a simple value, just say 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. I can type today. Alright, cool. So we need to add a state later on that will be targeting when we click on it. So we add the show state to it and give it a height of auto. The padding bottom should be 1 rem. Visibility should be visible. Max height should be, I just said so, 9999. And the transform should be scale of 1. So essentially we're just doing opposite of everything that is here. I just want to show the content. I think that's about it. I think we should also add another transform right here. So, but this will be opposite of 1 0 1 0. So I'm not going to see that right now. We'll see that later. So for all these icons, I think we should bring them down a bit. So we'll say icon. I think I gave you the class of icon, right? Okay, I think it's for this. So class of icon. So give this a class name of icon. And say the width should be 20 pixels as well as the height. You can choose to leave it the way you want it. Let's just bring it to 25, quite small. Okay, this is cool. Then the cursor should also be pointer. All right. Okay, so for this star, we need to add a animation to it using keyframes. So first of all, I think we should also bring down the width and height. Okay, I think the default is 30, so we'll leave it as it. Or let's say something. Okay, let's just leave it as it is, and we'll also just add the animation to it. We'll say the name should be star, should go 2 seconds infinite, so it should just be bouncing up and down literally forever. So for the keyframes, we can just say keyframes and bring in the animation name. So make sure this star right here is what you use right here. Say the initial point should be transform, and let's just say the translate of y of 0. So we'll get to 50%. Let's set the transform translate of y to like a negative number, and essentially for the 100% we just set it back to 0. So if we save right now, don't know why this is not coming in. Okay, do we give this a class of star? Okay, so we need to add a class of star right here. So we didn't give this a class of star. So as you can see, it's working fine. All right, cool. So let's start adding the actual logic to show each of the content. So for us to be able to track each of these when it's open, we need a React hook called useState. And like, as I explained just now, I said we need to track each of these questions. So what useState essentially does is that it allows you to keep track of each state and update each state whenever it needs to be updated. So we can bring in useState by saying const, creating an array, and say useState So this will be false by default because we need to be toggling this. And inside this, we will have two variables. The first one will be to show or to check if something is clicked in our own case, while this other one is the function to actually update this. So we say it is clicked and set is clicked. So this is normally the naming convention. And we also need to create a function called toggle FAQ, and inside the arrow function we'll get the index because we are going to be toggling this based on the index. So index starts from 0, so 0, 1, 2, or 3. So like I said, this is used to update the state. This is a function used to update the state. So we'll say set is clicked and get the previous value, so the previous click state, and essentially say if this the previous value we clicked is equals to the index, then just set it to null, else you can just open that specific index. So if you don't understand, let me come again. Essentially, we're just checking if the current state, which is this previous click state, is equals to the index, is equals to any of these questions right here. And if it is, it sets the state to null, indicating that no question is clicked. And if it's not equal to, basically it just sets the state to this index, to just indicating that we've clicked on this index. So if you don't still understand, it's going to make sense in a bit when we start adding event listeners to these stuffs. So first of all, we need to just hide these menus and we need to show the plus icon. I guess we need to show the plus icon by default. Yeah, so we need to hide this stuff right here. So for this, we can just check and say if is clicked is equals to index, then we want to show the manual state. So essentially, if we click on something or if something is opened, if any of this index is open, we want to show this minus icon. Else we want to show this plus icon right here. So now we've not clicked on anything, that's why we're seeing the plus icon. Cool. So next thing to do is essentially to add that toggle state, this function we created now. So say use on invert listeners and say on clicks, we'll add an arrow function here too, and say bring in this and pass in the index. So essentially whatever index we click in is going to come here and do this logic we told it to do. Okay, cool. So once we click on this, you can see that this is toggling right now, but we're not seeing the content yet, which we'll do in a bit. So for us to see the content, it's still kind of the same as what we did here. So we'll say, and this time we'll be doing it in the class, because if you remember, we said it to content should only show when we had the class of show. So we'll get rid of this, we're going to bring it back and use backticks and bring back the content. So nothing should change, and the reason why we're doing this is because we want to add conditional rendering here. So we'll say if it's clicked, the same thing, and if that is clicked is equals to the index, then show that particular index, else show nothing. So right now, once we click, you can see that this is scaling in. So let me make it obvious, then I'll bring it back. I think let me just make it 1 second in both places. Say 1 second. So you can see that it's scaling in. You can choose to play with the values if you want to. Alright, so let's try this other one. As you can see, once we toggle on this one, the first one or the second one before it closes. Yeah, so it's coming in nice and dandy. Let's open it, and it works on desktop too. Alright guys, so that's just basically it. I hope you learned something from this video, and do it to leave any comments if you have any question, or if you have another way you think this can be done. And if you enjoyed this video, you might as well watch this one you're seeing right now, because you're going to enjoy it as well and learn some stuff from it.